Well, that's the way we thought of it from the beginning. That we think, from everything, from the storytelling down to nuts and bolts of camera work, it's so similar. We talk about wide, 2 shots, and overs, and line of action, and lens choices, and all the same things that live action does, in an effort to tell strong stories that affect people, that relate to our lives, and that's what we're trying to do in all the films we do.
There's that, and there's content too. I mean, I don't think there's a more sophisticated story ever told in movies than Dumbo. I mean, what is there, like 40 lines of dialogue or something?
Yeah,
it's just very minimal but complex and beautiful. And I've never thought of them as just for kids. I mean, they're for families, but we think they're for everybody. And we hope our movies do that.
Well, we talked to psychologists more how they could help us out.
How can you explain?
How is that going so far?
How can you explain how the kids are working? What's going on in their heads, and what is depression, and how does that factor into things? Obviously in the film, in the end, we're not talking about depression so much as sadness. Now, depression is sort of a sickness that is not beneficial, and you want to heal from.
Yeah.
But sadness actually has a real value, and I think a lot of what we learned in doing research, not only with sadness, but disgust and fear and anger and all the guys, it gave them a job. It helped us to understand their reason and purpose for existence, and that really drove a lot of the film.
Yeah,
the look of them and the writing and
the storytelling. I just love that there is a reason that you have these emotions, which was so simple and true and obvious now, but not when we started.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's a byproduct, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, what we feel like our main job is just to entertain people. We want people to come to the theater and have a fun time, and hopefully feel something, so they take something home with them and think about it later. It's not just like boop, gone, but it's something that you constantly come back to and think about.
Yeah, I only hesitate because of that. Like, our job is to entertain, but we feel so lucky to have these jobs that we get to make things and put films into the world, and so we want to honor that by having substance and some sort of emotional truth to them, and if people get something out of that, that's just a cherry on top to me.
It was pretty overwhelming.
It was overwhelming.
I mean, the movie itself, the screening, the official screening, it was a little quiet. Like, we've screened it a couple places, even in Las Vegas at CinemaCon, and the reaction to the jokes and things was a little louder there. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe they're not really into it. And then the lights came up, and people stood and applauded, and I thought my heart was going to burst.
Yeah, it didn't seem real, and it still doesn't.
Yeah.
Amy Poehler, who I was sitting next to, just said to me, "This is happening."
Yeah.
That kind of summed it up. It is happening. It was such a warm response. We couldn't be happier about it.
Well, I think at the very beginning, people were like, "Pix, what?" Well, they hadn't heard of it. And then Toy Story kind of made people think differently because of the blend of storytelling with new technology. And then, now we're kind of into our middle-aged time, and so people have favorites, and we're always kind of compared against ourselves. When people talk about one movie, they say, well, it's not quite as good as this, or it's better than that, or whatever. So it's kind of flattering. I think that we're kind of the only studio that I know of that gets kind of compared against itself. So.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody says that Warner Brothers movie wasn't as good as the last Warner Brothers movie. Right?
Yeah.